Weston, third generation educator. I was the teacher in the family that vowed to not be a teacher when I went off to school, went off to UGA. And the teaching bug bit me while I was helping a hallmate do a mentoring program my 9th grade year, and went down the education route. Decided to come back to Augusta to teach. So I started my K-12 career here in Augusta, mostly at the Academy of Richmond County. I did 1 year at Glen Hills High School, the best year ever there, and then ended up replacing my student teacher over at ARC and stayed there for the bulk of my K-12 experience in Richmond County. I coached baseball, football, and golf. Right now I'm actually serving as the co-director of the Governor's School Leadership Academy, which is a program underneath the Governor's Office of Student Achievement in Atlanta. In that role, I serve principals and other educators across the state in helping them have equitable outcomes that support leaders to provide the top-notch leadership needed for students and teachers to get what it is that they need to reach the outcomes that are needed. So I have a lot of things that are going on. In my educator world and my professional side, I ran across some information that my cousin shared with me about the Lean Startup and the possibility of using the Lean Startup techniques. It's a book by a gentleman by the name of Eric Rice, and how I could use those techniques to serve me in my role as a state level leader. And I started thinking about how I could use these concepts as an entrepreneur, and thinking about ways I could apply those things. So we started cooking up some ideas, and we're always having conversations about ways to improve things that we see, answer questions, or solve problems that exist in the community, and see if there are ways to possibly monetize and serve and give back, but also to see if there's an additional income stream, right, that could possibly come from really good ideas. So that led me to pursue this opportunity, which is Nalej Bank. So Nalej Bank is a digital platform startup, an ed tech venture, if you will, that helps parents or grandparents, anyone who is in a supervisory or a role of support of young people around them, to engage in reading, right? So imagine if you're familiar with Cash App meets the summer reading programs that we did when we were kids. And what we do with our platform is we help parents connect the right reward with the motivation that the student needs to motivate them to read. We find books, or we find things that we know are going to be beneficial for our children or young people around us, and we figure out what the right reward is for our learner, right? And we match the reward with the student's motivation in hopes that they discover a love of learning and a love of knowledge acquisition, and ultimately become readers or better individuals as a result of using the platform.
How did the idea, what inspired, how did the idea come to create Nalej?
Right. So the idea started from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. We think it's very important that young people, and I have a 16-year-old son, that our young people understand basic money management techniques, but as you can imagine, the average 16-year-old doesn't want to pick up a book about money management, right? So what we decided to do was to see if we could identify some teenagers that are in our lives. One of my co-founders is also a young father and also has a 16-year-old son. So what we did is we offered our sons $50 to read the book and showcase their understanding of the concepts, which is essentially the idea. So after those two, our sons have read the book, they jump onto Nalej Bank and they complete the comprehension questions that are built into the platform. And then we get a notification letting us know that, hey, our sons have mastered this percentage of the content, and then there's a release of the funds that are stored in our platform that go back to our readers. And the funny thing is what we found is, particularly with this book, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, we've been able to see our son, well, my son worked a summer job, and I could see him and hear him talking through, I'm going to save this money, I'm okay with blowing this money, but how can I take this third bucket of money and figure out a way to make it expand. How can I make more money from this bucket of money? So it's been cool to see him think through the concepts and figure out how those can be applied to him and hopefully serve him after he gets out of his teenage years into adulthood. Our website is Nalej Bank, N-A-L-E-J, Bank, BANK.com. And once you go to that website, you can join our mailing list so that you can be made aware of updates. And if you are interested in possibly piloting or using the platform as we make adjustments and tinker to make sure that it's going to best serve the needs of our users and our partners, we would love to get feedback from you and for you to possibly use the platform and give us some feedback about your experience.